Alright, so welcome back everybody to another how to RP tutorial video. So in our previous video we covered how to create a character. So now that you have your character, we're going to go over etiquette. In other words, you don't really get to start RPing just yet. You have to learn, the rules and regulations of how to RP. Otherwise you may upset the person you're RPing with. So let's go into that. So, well, I do have in the background right here a show of, how do I want to say, a show of my RP with somebody, I guess you could say, that we've carried over from the chat to a messaging, to our messages, and etiquette. The first thing about etiquette you need to know about the rules for etiquette is respect, and is to be respectful of both you and the person you're RPing with. In other words, be respectful of that person's time and your own time. Some people may not have the may not be using a keyboard. Some people may be using a laptop, a tablet. Some people may not be as fast as bright as you. Some people might be busy. There's just other things, and you have to be respectful of that. And so in the background here, I have a chat log that we had, and this is the chat log that my friend was so helpful in copying and pasting it. Thankfully to her, I was able to use this as a reference. So yeah, in our chat we go back and forth, and this one doesn't have timestamps here, obviously, but this is, I think I recall, it was about maybe a couple hours of just RP whatnot, and then chats. And I said that I had to go, and that's when I came down here and sent her a message saying that I'd like to keep the RP going. If you want to leave it in chat or put it in here, you can, but I'll be sure to reply next time I'm on. And she was respectful and said that she was flexible with where it went, and so she copied and pasted it and put it in here. And we have been just kind of RP buddies back and forth ever since then. So just be respectful of the person that you're RPing with. Respect their time, they'll respect yours. If they don't, well, obviously ignore that person. Try to find a different RP partner. There are some people like that who are just like want to demand all your time. It's rare that there are people like that, but there are. So just be respectful. And then the next one would be, let's say, grammar, punctuation and grammar. This one I don't necessarily mean cross your T's, dot your I's. What I mean is, don't use text talk. Use full, complete sentences, and use quotation marks for your characters when your character is speaking. So if you didn't use quotation marks, for example, here we will take this one right here. So I had to use quotation marks for my character, and that way the person I'm RPing with knows that they're talking. You can use, I closed it out, but hang on. You could use asterisks, lines like this, or brackets. It just really depends on if you're RPing in a site or on a form or something like that, or if you're just doing it over general messages. It just depends. I don't use brackets because I close my I use quotation marks for my character's speech, so I don't have to use brackets, so that way it separates the action from their text, from what they're talking. So it's easier for the person I'm RPing with to understand, and they do the same thing in their posts right here. So they'll use the same. So she did the same thing. She put hers in. Where's the ending? Right there, in quotation marks. So that way I know when she's talking. That's a good way to. This is a good, general way to start RP off when you're RPing. It's a good thing to learn and know when to use quotation marks for when your character's talking, because you may run into an instance where if you're not using quotation marks when you're talking, some people won't realize that you're using your character to talk. They'll think that you're just trying to chat with them or something like that. So make sure you put that there. If you don't want to use quotation marks, it's highly advised that you use asterisks, brackets, lines, just anything in general to make sure, so that people know when your character is talking, when your character is taking action. Like I said, don't use text talk. A lot of people hate that, because if you do it like this, so let's say you use text talk. Let's say you use she talk to you or something like that. That's garbage. Don't do that. Don't use text talk. Don't use numbers. And a lot of forums and chat sites do ban text talk and numbers because it's just aggravating to read. It's low effort, and people who do that hardly put any detail or heart into the roleplay. And so the person who's reading it or roleplaying with you will become stagnant. They won't want to roleplay with you, and they'll move on and they'll drop the roleplay. And if you ever wonder why, that could be one of the reasons, is that you might be using text talk. Don't do that. That's pretty much it for the grammar and punctuation. You don't have to be a grammar Nazi about it. As long as people can understand what you're trying to say, it doesn't have to be 100% correct. Your spelling does not have to be 100% correct. As long as they get the general concept, they're okay with it. So you don't have to worry about that one. The next one would be just general God modding. Now, what does this mean? What does God modding mean? I don't have an example here because when me and her were playing back and forth, we kind of, don't show God modding back and forth. Let's see. So here's what God modding is. It is in essence pretty much an auto hit. So let's say you're, in combat with another person, right? So let's say he rushed forward and that's on. Oops, I didn't delete that. Okay. Sorry, I didn't mean to stop it. He rushed forward and punched him in the face, knocking him out, right? Okay, so this is God modding for a lot of reasons. First off, you are controlling another person's character by saying knocking him out. Okay, that's God modding because you cannot control what the other person's character is going to do. So don't do that. Another thing would be God modding. Another sign of God modding is how you classified that he punched him in the face. That's called an auto hit. That will be seen as God modding, and depending on the forum or chat site you're in, you could be banned instantly or given a warning. So I'll show you an example. Using the same example, I'll show you what is not God modding. He rushed forward and attempted to punch him in the face with enough force to try and knock him out. Okay, so this is not God modding because you're not controlling the other person's character. You didn't automatically hit to them, and the reason why it's not considered God modding is because you would use the word attempted or tried, or just anything that shows that you're making an attempt. Making an attempt is not God modding. Just like you can if your character can make an attempt to hug somebody, can make an attempt to shake somebody's hand, and think just general action like that. Now, how we go down to the knock him out, if you want to make it to where if they did get hit, they knocked out, that also depends on their character alone, but you would put with enough force to try and knock them out. So that means you're just power behind your attack, and with enough force, it probably would knock them out. That's not guaranteed. Nothing is ever guaranteed in combat type roleplay or just any kind of role playing in general. How I like to view it is that you're pretty much writing a story with somebody else. You control one character, they control another character. You can't control the other person's character unless they give you permission. And let's say, I guess I can try and give you an example of that. I don't have one here. I don't think I do. Yeah, no, I don't have an example here. But an example would be, we're using a different one. He would attempt to cast a mind control spell on him. If it succeeded, wow. Okay, if it worked, sorry. He would be able to control so for a short amount of time. Okay, so let's say you made this, right? And then let's say I respond, right? So he was unable to avoid the spell thrown at him, so his mind was taken over for a short amount of time. This pretty much tells the person, my response from this tells you that you are allowed to control my character for a short amount of time. Most people, if you do try, throw something that's, controlling of some sort just in general, they will pretty much be wary of it. So if you pretty much say like for a short amount of time, and they are okay with that short amount of time, be it whatever it is, they may allow it to happen. It also just kind of depends on the person's character as well. If the person's character is pretty much just a simple human, doesn't have any special traits or anything, and you're like, say, an incubus or succubus or whatever, and you try and seduce them or something like that, that also, the chance that they have to factor in their character as being human into if they can avoid something like that. And in some cases that they can do that with like luck or resistance or something. So it's just that kind of thing when it comes to controlling another person's character. Generally it's taboo. Some cases it might be allowed. If you really want to know, just ask the person. Be polite, be respectful, be like, hey, my character's attempting to control your character for a few moments. Is that okay? And if y'all want you and the person you're asking want go through a talk and see what kind of actions are being taken, planning it out, that's okay. If they say no, then that's it. You can't really force the person because that's their character. So you can't really control the people's characters. So there's that. There are exceptions in certain cases, but I'm not going to go over those because there's just, that pertains more to combat. If I do a video on combat style RP, I'll go over that because that's pretty much what I excel at. So actually I think I do have an example. No, never. I thought I saw something in the background that I might have had an example of it, but I don't think so. So let's continue and go on to like controlling another person's character. So we did go over that. That would be another one. And to God modding, those two kind of go together. But for the majority, controlling another person's character is a differently type of rule, and that kind of pertains more towards not really God modding, but in the sense of you taking over the character as a whole, like I did in the first example where he punched so and so and knocked him out. That pretty much takes what you took over the person's character. If you try to taking over the character means like you force somebody to go to the same place as you. You pretty much forcibly send somebody else's character away, or so just general things like that. Like I said, there are exceptions depending on resistances and whatnot. It's really control type things in RP are walking thin ice, because some of it may be seen as god modding, some of it may not. It just depends really how you word it. If you want just a quick basic way of controlling another person's character, it's just how you word it. But that's that one. And then next one would be borderline. So what do I mean when I say borderline? This can mean a lot of things. And when you RP with somebody, you in essence you are interacting with the person behind the screen. However, your character is interacting with that character. You're not necessarily interacting with the person behind the screen unless you use out of character context, which is something like this. So my friend here posted her RP stuff in the chat in our messaging system, right? So this is the RP, right? Then this is the out of character context, which shows that they're trying to talk with you and out of character. Usually when you do out of character, you're going to use the circle brackets. I don't know what they're called. I'm not tech savvy, sadly, but you're going to use pretty much the enclosed, I guess the enclosed brackets. I don't know. You're pretty much going to use these. Hold on, if you couldn't see it, the screen's too small. You're pretty much going to use these, and you can pretty much use one or two as long as you open it like that and then close it. So hello, and then close it. That's out of character. You're trying to interact with the person behind the screen, not your character. And that's where borderline comes in. So let's say your character is in love with their character, right? Now, you may, for whatever reason, have some type of attachment or feeling towards that person through your characters interacting, but that's where the borderline is. That person is only interacting with you through character, and so unless y'all had come to something and you're actually dating or something or whatever, they don't have the same type of feelings for you, the writer, as you do for them, because you're only interacting through character. And that's the borderline. That's one of the borderlines where a lot of people will drop good RPs or just drop RPs in general, because people catch feelings, I guess you could say, catch feelings for people through their characters, and you can't do that. That's not, I guess, fair, because you're only interacting through characters. Now, unless y'all were RP partners and text buddies, or y'all talked in real life, or y'all used OCC and y'all started pretty much just talking about stuff and whatnot. Okay, that's a totally different story. That's not RP based. That's more you talking with the other person. So that's way off the borderline. In that case, if y'all come to a mutual agreement, then yeah, sure, okay. But in most cases, stranger RPs with stranger. It's pretty much what that borderline is. Another borderline is ERP, or for those who don't understand, erotic RP, which is roleplay. In other words, sensual or nighttime activities, I guess we could say, like we did in the last video. A lot of people will not do ERP because it's pretty much like, it's pretty much like S texting, yes. That's pretty much what I closed down again. Damn it. It's pretty much what it's like. And so a lot of people are just here to, RP. You might come across some people who are into that kind of thing for ERP, and that's okay. If you don't want to do it, just tell them, hey, I'm not into this, I don't want to do it. And if they don't respect you, which is one of the rules, one of the etiquettes to have, it's to respect somebody, and they will respect you. If they don't respect your decision, cut them off, because obviously they're not going to respect you or anything for your character or just anything about you in general. They're not going to respect all that, so you're going to cut them off. So ERP is another borderline. Usually, it depends on the character you're interacting with. So if the character is seductive, flirty, temptatious, anything like that, generally their character is open to ERP. If they're not, then they're not. You can also ask the person if you're unsure, be like, hey, are you okay with ERP? And if they say no, then no. Or they, maybe you find out they ERP'd with somebody else, but they don't want ERP with you. That's just because they probably don't want to ERP with you. Don't get mad. They have a choice. No means no. Same thing for you to tell somebody else no. No means no to them. So these are borderlines that should never be crossed. And you can also add your own borderlines, your own rules. People do have their own rules. Some people, want to only RP with people who are above a certain age in real life, and they have their whole reason for that. You have to be respectful of that. Obviously, online you can't really tell unless you send a picture or whatever. Sometimes they can tell, based off the words person uses or whatever, but most of the time you can't tell. And so, just if you want to be sly, say you're under the age pretty much you're not old enough that for them, you don't want to be sly about it. If they catch you, you can't get mad because you weren't following their rules. You were being respectful of that. You could try talking with them, or maybe whatever. Maybe it's like a chat room, and you're RPing with other people, and then they come and RP with you, and then you see that later on that they only RP with certain people of an age. You could be like, hey, I'm only this years old. Is it okay if we do private message RPs or something in the future? And if they are down with it, they're down with it. But you need to be respectful of other people. Respect is a big thing in the RP community, because if you're respectful of them, they're respectful of you. That's pretty much that's pretty much the main rule, is just respect. All these other rules are kind of like, they're important, but they all lead back to the main rule of respect. So you got to be respectful to people. But yeah, that's pretty much it for that. For pretty much the rules. The only other thing is obey your forums and chat sites and discords or whatever. Just obey those rules. Every sites or forums or chat sites or discords rules are different. So look at them, read them over, respect them, obey them. That way everyone has a good time. You have a good time. The other RPs have a good time. There's nothing going on. There's nothing wrong. But that'll be it for this one. Pretty much etiquette. The next video will probably go over something else. But this is pretty much this video is mainly about etiquette, so to get you comfortable enough with the rules, regulations, all that kind of thing. But before that, I was going to I was just pretty much using this as example. I did ask her, I was respectful and asked her if she would allow me to use our role play as a example, and she did. So I'm just happy that she allowed me. Cool person. Anyways, that'll do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please leave a like down below. Be sure to subscribe. And if you have any questions or comments, leave them down below and I will indeed answer them. Alrighty. See you for now. Peace.